Hi, party people. It's Sandra. Your favorite self love reminder, your walking empowerment reminder. I didn't find another word for it. And I'm thinking about redoing this intro, but I won't because, listen, we are here because we embrace imperfection, okay? We are not gonna do this whole perfectionism thing anymore. And if you hear people spit in the background, oh well, so it is. So, oopsie. Oh, okay. Talking about imperfection. Okay, wait. Can you see my boobs? No, you wish. Oh god, like this video is going great. It's just going great. I know I could just like stick this somewhere. God damn it. Okay, so wait, why am I here? Ah, I wanted to tell you a story how I regained some of my voice. The regaining of voice is something that, okay, so for people who have had trouble in their life to speak up, to speak their truth, to say what they actually mean, people who have lied a lot in their lives, and there is no judgment in that because let me tell you this, I used to be one of the craziest liars out there, not because I intentionally tried to or wanted, like set the intention to, like, oh, I'm gonna go about and like lie to people. No, I lied to myself so much, and because everything always starts with yourself, and so whatever you do to yourself, with yourself, about yourself, um, will always be reflected back to you through others, by others, and the way you treat yourself, obviously, is how you treat others too. And so, if you lie to yourself, then first of all, you also lie to others, and also others will lie to you. That's just how it works. And so, um, but the reason why I lied so much, well, again, is because I lied to myself. And why did I lie to myself? Because I had this conditioning that was taking me away from my truth. And so, because I grew up, I've always been very intuitive, very intuitive. I'm an intuitive channel, I'm a messenger for God. I get the divine guidance because the divine guidance is your intuition. Everyone has it, obviously. It's your gut feeling, it's that calm knowing that you have about things, right? And so, of course, everyone has that, but I have just always been very tapped in. So, and especially when you're a child as well, like, you just go about your life and you just embrace life the way it comes, and you very much go about your life according to your intuition, your inner guidance, because your inner guidance is just this calm present thing that just leads you into different directions, and it would like steer you away from, for example, you're like in kindergarten and there's like a group of people that you um love to hang out with, like you being drawn to this group of other children rather than this group of children, like it's like this innate guiding system is like, okay, like this is like my type of place here, like these are my type of people, or whatever it is, right? We're just so, we truly are so fucking connected. I mean, we always are connected at all times, but the more we grow up, the more we're being socialized, the more we kind of forget to listen to this a beautiful inherent guidance that we never lose, and it's always present, and it's um our most beautiful tool to walk through life. And Um, but yeah, so I always had this very prominent within me. But then I experienced a conditioning through my parents that was like the opposite of that. So I had like my intuition telling me this one thing, and then I had the conditioning, the belief systems that I absorbed from my parents, or they taught me, and they were that somehow was the complete opposite for in many ways, not always probably, but in many ways very different to uh yeah, how my internal system was telling me, well, you have to go this way, but then the conditioning was like, no, no, you have to go this way. So I was very, very, very confused. And so I always, yeah, I spent a lot of time feeling incredibly, incredibly stuck because yeah, I had this thing going on within me, right? My internal guidance versus what supposedly was the right thing to do because other people told me that that was the right thing to do. Well, I'm here to tell you, other people are never right. So always listen to your inner guidance. Your inner guidance is yours, and no one else knows how you feel. No one else knows your intuition. No one knows your inner guidance better than you know yourself. So if anyone outside of you is trying to tell you, oh, do this, do that, or whatever, like listen to yourself. Like, do I want to do this? Do I like take the advice from other people? I just recently learned this, like literally a few days ago. I was once again just outsourcing my guidance and was listening to another person, and like it made sense, right? What the person was saying, it like made logical sense. But I'm not here for the logic. Like, I'm not a person who does things that are very logical. I do things that make sense to me, which then I guess is logical. But a lot of times it doesn't make sense to others, and that's fucking fear. Um, and but yeah, so a lot of times people are like, why the fuck are you doing this? Like, what's like, how, like, why would you do something like that? Like, that's terribly stupid or whatever. But I just go with the flow. I go with my own flow. So leave me the fuck alone. No, but honestly, just like and you also just leave everyone alone who like just like, I mean, and people always mean well, right? People always mean well when they give the guidance and stuff, like the advice. But a lot of times I've come to learn people love to give advice just for the sake of them giving advice because it makes them feel good about themselves. So it's like, oh, I'm so smart and whatever, right? But do they actually truly care about the person's well-being? I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, potentially, in many cases, probably, but in a lot of cases, also, no. They just care about themselves, like being like, oh yeah, like, I mean, but whatever. This is not what I wanted to talk about today. What was it that I wanted to talk about today? Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you guys the peace story. Um, right, I was like talking about lying and all of that. Right, I'm talking about finding your voice and all of that. Okay, guys, I'm neurodivergent. Please forgive me for my tangents and all of that. That's just how I am, who I am, what I do, how I function. I also just had a beverage that included caffeine. It was not coffee because I'm off the coffee, because I no longer indulge in this type of dopamine thing. But then the other beverage, I mean, I'm talking a lot right now, so I mean, that happens a lot anyway without caffeine too. But um, it has an effect on me right now. In any case, so right, you're here. If you clicked on this video, you want to know how to regain your voice. So because I always used to like lie to myself so much, then um because like, how did I lie to myself? Because I had my intuition and then I had the conditioning, but I would then rather listen to people outside of myself, and that was me lying to myself. So when you don't listen to your intuition, to your inner guidance, to your inner knowing, that's when you're lying to yourself, right? And so that's when you will have this experience where you're going to go through life, and you will um lie to people, and people will lie to you because you're lying to yourself. I mean, that's just what it is. um and so in order to uh stop doing that, you have to listen to your inner voice, right? And now we're back to the inner voice. And um I mean, in order to like get really good at how you do that and stuff, it's a learning curve, right? Like, it just, when we do something over and over again is when we get consistent with it. Well, that's what consistency is, when we do something over and over again. But that's when we will actually, like, it becomes normal to us, right? And so, and um practice makes the master, or something like that, you know what I mean, like that saying. So you just like keep going, and you keep sharpening your intuition, your discernment about what you think is right to do. And right, so, but what comes in hand with this is, when you listen to your inner voice, you also will have to use your actual voice, your vocal cords. I mean, you don't have to, but you can. And I would highly recommend it, to actually speak your truth again. Because when you are in your truth, when you follow your intuition, when you follow your inner guidance and do the things that you know to be true for yourself, then you also should, I mean, you should do anything, because like no one can tell you what to do. But it's from my personal experience, I would recommend to uh, use your voice, and also speak your truth, even if it's hard, and even if it's very uncomfortable, and if it makes other people uncomfortable, if it's awkward. And but it actually will change something within yourself if you show up the way that um, the way that you deserve to be seen in the world. And if you want to be treated the way that you want to be treated, with respect and with love and care and all of that, then you just have to speak your truth. You can't just like be there and let things happen to you, and not say a thing, right? Because that, again, would be lying to yourself. Because when you're in your truth, you have your boundaries, you have your self-worth, you have your self-love. And then uh, if people treat you like a crap, then you will have to say something, and you will have to say, no, not with me. And that took me so long to get there. Like, trust me, like, I was 20 years in addiction. I had bulimia for 20 years, and that is like such a physical expression. Like, the symptom of bulimia is like the expression of literally like um swallowing everything, and not speaking your truth, and not speaking up, and just keeping everything in. But inside it's just like chaos, and it just wants to come out, right? You just want to say something, you want to speak up, but then you just don't do it for whatever reason. And I didn't do it any longer, the longer I was growing up, because I was so scared of speaking up. Because whenever I would speak up, there were just like consequences for me that weren't so great. So I learned fairly quickly to not speak up anymore. And also, I remember just speaking the truth, because I'm a truth teller, which is, I know, quite the paradox and funny, because I was lying so much. But that's the whole thing about your biggest challenges in life will always be your biggest gifts. And that's just the fucking truth. That's just how it is. So, because I was lying so much, and also about, like, lying to myself about like how I was doing, because I had bulimia for 20 years. Do you think I was doing great? Do you think I was doing great? No, I did not. I wasn't doing great. But I would say all the time that everything's fine. I would pretend the whole time that I was fine. And that is the lying that I did mainly. I was to pretend that I was healthy. I was pretending that I didn't have any issues. I was pretending a lot of things. And that was the lying that I did the most. And I, in my head, also was lying to myself about like how severe it really all was. And I was telling myself how I'm over it, and how it's not such a big deal. And also, just, I was thinking that that's just me, like a person who has that disease, and someone who just does that and will probably never let go of it, and I'm gonna do that for the rest of my life. And I really created an identity around that no one else knew about. I was living a double life. And um so it was, yeah, it was quite the mission to um, remove this whole thing out of my life, and to turn shit around and stop lying to myself first and foremost. And then that then also obviously makes it so that you are no longer in in distortion with others. So the more you're true to yourself, the more other people will be true to you. That's just how it works, right? Everything is always a reflection. And so so finally I'm getting to the story that I wanted to tell about, like how I regained a part of myself, a part of my voice back, which was, so I was living with my mom and her husband, and um and so my mom, like in our household, we never had this thing where we would put like the toilet lid like down, like um we just always had like the toilet lid up. Like when you go into the bathroom, like the lid is up, like the seat is down, right? The toilet seat is down, but the lid is up. Like we just never made an effort to like put the lid down, which I don't know, maybe some people might find that gross. I don't fucking know. But like I also feel like for most people or most households that I have been in my life, it's kind of the same. Like not a lot of people bother to put the lid down. But let you let me know how you do it. Um, but anyway, so for us it wasn't a thing. So but then her my mom's husband, new husband, um like was around all the time, and then he started like every single time, like after he used the toilet, he would put the lid down, which is like, I guess it's a like very admirable thing to do. um and so, but before that no one ever would do that in our household, right? So uh so suddenly it was just like the toilet lid being down whenever like I would go into the bathroom, and then like there was the toilet lid down, and I was like, and then I knew that my mother's husband had just like used the toilet before me, right? Because that was the sign that that happened, because my mom and I wouldn't do that. So no problems there, obviously. But then I noticed that there was just this phase where suddenly there was always like whenever I put the lid back up, there was a piece of piss, a little drop of piss on the toilet seat. And now, we all have experienced that many times in our lives. We always, not we always, but we have definitely in our lives before had like left a drop of piss on the toilet seat. I mean, it's just a fucking human thing. It happens, right? Sometimes we aim wrong. Sometimes when you're a woman, like you're shaking, or just like it just I mean, I don't have to explain it to you what happens there in this situation. Sometimes we just leave a fucking drop of piss on the toilet seat. It's normal. It happens all the time. But then, but no longer, no, not no longer in my life. And you know why? Because, okay, wait, so because that shit's in the past. I'm no longer gonna focus on that shit. But so basically, um so it happened a few times in a row that I would go to the toilet, and then I had to put the lid back up because my mother's husband was in there before and had put it down, and then there was the drop of piss on it. So again, this sometimes can happen, and it can also happen a few times in a row. But I mean, which I find already like a little bit like, yeah, I mean, that really doesn't happen that often, does it? But then I noticed that it would happen like a few times in a row. And the first time I remember, I cleaned it up, right? I cleaned it up so I can use the toilet, right? Because we're not gonna make a big deal out of this situation. But then it happened a few times in a row, and I was like, okay, like I'm no longer doing this. Like this is gross. Like it's fucking gross because it's my mother's husband's piss on the toilet seat, and I want to sit on the toilet seat, so I don't like, but I don't want this, right? And also am no longer going to fucking wipe away his piss, even if it was like just one drop. Like I don't. I mean, I don't. That's that. That's besides the point. How much it was, but it's like, so I just started to observe that this would happen um, again and again, and I would just observe within myself how I was like, nah, fuck this shit. Like I'm not going to keep wiping this shit away, and I'm not the fucking cleaner for a grown ass man. who should be able to make sure that this doesn't happen all the time. So because it happened a few days in a row, I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to fucking clean this piss away. Like, who the fuck am I? And because of course, like, listen, guys, like, I actually have been a cleaner before, and I have cleaned toilets, so don't even come for me. Like, I'm not like, I don't think I'm like better or anything like that. No, but it's just about the principle, right? It's about the respect and all that, and it's also because everything is always a reflection of who you are. So this situation was obviously something that I created into my life, right? And then I was contemplating on it because it started to annoy me that this would happen all the time, like rightfully so. And so I was contemplating, I was like, okay, why is this happening, right? So because first, then because it happened a few times in a row, I started, because we had two bathrooms, so I started to go downstairs every single time that I needed to piss. I don't want to say piss, that sounds nasty. Every single time I needed to pee, um, I needed to I went downstairs because I didn't want to clean his piss away. His pee? No, with him I can say piss. I didn't want to clean it away anymore, so I was like, well, I'm not going to clean it away, but I need to use the toilet, so I'm going to go to the downstairs one. So I would go downstairs all the time, but I still didn't say anything because it was like, okay, why make a big deal out of this, right? Um, and but it was annoying me, and so I was like, well, this is actually um affecting me, right? Like, this is affecting me, so I actually do need to fucking say something about it, because I think one time my mom cleaned it up, and then the next time I would just, like, for hours, like, go to the downstairs toilet um and go pee there. But then when I, like, looked at the upstairs toilet, and, like, after hours and hours, the piss droplet was still on the seat. I was like, no, fuck no. So I was like, okay, like, I knew, I knew that I had to say something. But now, okay, like, uh, how do you even say this stuff? And so I knew that I had to stick up for myself, right? And for me, as a person who is so empathetic and sensitive and, like, has a lot of sympathy for other people and stuff, and I just always used to be the person who didn't want to rock the fucking boat. I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. I didn't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, right? I think many of us have experienced that, like, um, and it was just like who I was at the time, because I just always felt so small and like I didn't have a voice, right? But this was only a few weeks ago, so I had already, like, majorly involved in my self-respect and my boundaries, and like, regaining my voice over time and stuff. So I knew, like, I couldn't escape this shit. Like, I knew that I was creating this, and I knew that I would, like, have to break the spell, if you will, um by actually taking action and speaking up, which was just like, so. I swear to God, I was so nervous. I actually felt sick. Like, so we had dinner that evening, and I didn't really have, like, meals with them anymore and stuff because they were just, like, annoying me. Sorry, mom. But really, that's a whole lot of other stories. But um, I just didn't want to spend much energy on these people. Again, sorry for putting it like that, but um, so that we had, like, dinner that night was kind of the perfect situation where I could, like, speak on what was going on, right? And I remember, like, being in the room or whatever and thinking, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to say something. So we sat down and had dinner, and we had fish. And again, like, I was so nervous about speaking up. I was so nervous about saying something that I felt, like, nauseous. And I barely could eat anything. although I had been looking forward to eating that fish, and but I was like, I felt so shit because I was so nervous. But then eventually I found a segue, and like someone said something about something being embarrassing or something, and then I said, speaking of embarrassing, which maybe wasn't like the most. Oh my god, that's a huge insect. Um, maybe but it's like you don't fucking know how to get into this conversation, right? Like, how do you even start this conversation? How do you even start saying things like, so there's piss on the seat all the time? I mean, you could just say it like that, right? You can just fucking say it. And I mean, but no one gives you a fucking a manual for this shit, right? Like, you just have to roll with the punches or something like that. And so I just took that segue and I was like, speaking of embarrassing, so there's like, it's happened a few times now that there's like this piss on this seat, and I just know it's not me, and I can't be bothered to clean it away anymore. I said it. I said it. I said it. And then it was like a moment of like awkwardness, obviously. And then uh my mom said like, well, this can happen, or something like that. And it didn't really fucking matter. Like, it's about like, because here's the thing, this whole thing was about speaking up against the husband, okay? Because there was this underlying tension that had been going on there between the two of us for many different reasons. And I'm an energy reader and all that, so I knew that, like, I felt this tension for a very, very long time, and I knew that me speaking up was a tool and was necessary to release the tension, to let go of the tension, right? And because was this underlying thing of things not being said, and I was just also really angry because yeah, there was just this anger floating around because of like, he had definitely crossed some boundaries and stuff, and I didn't feel comfortable um, in certain situations, and I just didn't like him being around because he was just, it's just like, I just didn't appreciate um, an older man in my home. And it doesn't matter if that it's like my mom's home and that I live there. Like, but it was my home, right? Like, so that's the place where I lived, and I couldn't escape anywhere. Like, I didn't have a choice in that. I didn't have a say in that. Like, um, it was just the way it was, and so I just didn't want him to be there, to be honest. And he probably also didn't want me to be there, and so that's fair. And it's totally fair. But so it was just like this kind of tension that had built up. And so um yeah, and so with that, it's so funny and interesting because with that, like, me speaking up about this, it stopped. Like, I never saw a fucking droplet of piss on the seat ever again. And if I had just stopped, if I just hadn't spoken up, if I just let this shit happen, I just know that it would have happened over and over again, because it was like a way of the husband just like being disrespectful. And some might say, well, maybe, well, obviously he didn't do it on purpose, and he probably just didn't see it because he would have like cleaned it away, or it's like it's not that deep and whatever. But let me tell you, it's always that deep. It's truly always that deep, because everything in your life is a reflection of who you are, and everything is something that, like, the what you experience in the 3D and the physical, right, is always a reflection of the energies, of the unseen energies that are there. And whatever scenarios are playing out in your life is because these scenarios are playing out in the unseen, in the invisible, in the in the mental sphere, in the emotional sphere and stuff. So um um so this like tension that was like there this whole time, that I felt this whole time, was being made, mm, it manifested, was manifested in the physical through this scenario. And so I knew that I needed to clear it by speaking up, and like kind of like, I want to say I put him in his place, but like basically just letting him know, listen, I'm not allowing this. I'm not allowing myself to be treated that way. You can't just do anything and then I clean it up for you. You know what I mean? Because this is also obviously on, we speak here about different planes, right? Like we speak about um like me cleaning up some emotional shit of his, or because that's what I do, I transmute emotions and stuff. And if I'm living in a place, in a home with a person, then I will definitely feel the energies, I will feel the emotions and stuff. And then I get to decide what I take on and what I don't take on. And in this case, I had to set a sign. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, no. And I was so proud of myself. I was so fucking proud of myself for speaking up about this. And then again, it never happened again. And it was because I regained my power. I regained my boundaries. I established my boundaries and I spoke them. And despite that being very uncomfortable for myself, it was just really, and I know how hard it is to speak our truth sometimes. It's like so hard to get out sometimes, especially if we have suppressed our voice for so long. Like it feels so unnatural to us to just say certain things that we need, we to set our boundaries and all that. It's, I know it's not easy at all, but it needs to be done. It needs to be done, and this is what this whole video is about, I guess, to remind you that you do need, no, I don't want to say that, because you don't need to do anything. Again, you do whatever the fuck you want. It's your life. But in case you want to feel empowered, in case you want to feel content with yourself, in case you want to love yourself to the highest degree, care for yourself in the highest degree, and receive the highest form of love, then you will have to show up for yourself first, because only then you'll be able to receive all the goodness, because you're giving the goodness to yourself first. But as long as you keep abandoning that part of you that um, knows it deserves boundaries, knows it deserves to be treated with respect, for that long, people will treat you with disrespect. I mean, it's as simple as that. So if you want to be respected and treated with respect, then you have to do it for yourself first. And that's how it goes. And if you want to be heard, then you have to speak up. So that's it from me for this video. And I hope you enjoyed my little story about the pee. And let me know if you did. I want to interact with you guys. I want you to tell me stories. I'm always telling stories, and I want to hear some stories too. What have you learned when it comes to regaining, remembering your voice, expressing yourself, expressing your voice? How did it feel to you this one time that you actually said something, although it was really awkward and hard to do? I would love to hear about that. So let me know. Um, okay, thank you so much for being here. I love you, and I'll speak to you next time.